Welcome back to the Piping Pastor and a belated Merry Christmas. I had just recently returned from my Christmas ministry trip. Hence the tardiness of my Christmas well wishes. Yep, as with most ministers, Christmas time is a busy time of year. And as my ministry oftentimes takes me out into the wilderness, out into God's country, that's where I was. Christmas Eve services and Christmas morning services out in the desert. And I got a couple pictures actually this time. So I'll insert those here, the landscape area. So rather desolate, minus the few of us that were out there, but nonetheless, great ministry being done. The message I focused on this year was peace in the middle of conflict. So I was speaking about, of course, the verse in Isaiah where the Assyrians are attacking Jerusalem, and Hezekiah calls for Isaiah to come, and Isaiah says, "Oh, hey, look, she's going to give birth, and a wonderful counselor, and so on and so forth." Right? And the promise of peace, and what the promise of peace means, and the difference between how we see peace in a worldly sense that has to be won and earned and is temporary, and peace that we receive from God. And then I moved into how that peace that surpasses understanding, because it is not a worldly peace. It is a eternal ontological peace that comes from God Almighty, and it's different. So that was the focus of the message out there amongst that beautiful but desolate landscape. And then happily got to come home and spend Christmas with the family, our belated family Christmas celebration. They are, I'm blessed with a wonderful family, and we all do ministry together in various different capacities. And so, they understood, hey, you know what? We're all going to be worshiping the Lord together on December 25th in celebration. And then we'll come together as a family celebration when I get back, which happily I just did. And obviously just refill my Zippo. For our Christmas video today, my Peterson straw here, I'm smoking my Burley Balkan mixture. My Burley Balkan Supreme I've spoken about before. I have been also, actually I got back yesterday. So I had been also enjoying my holiday blend, which is the Sleepy Hollow. My Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas blend, because I don't smoke aromatics very often. So, I bought the Sleepy Hollow, and it's good. I really enjoy it, but it's really sweet, and it's not to my taste very often. So it takes a while to go through it, but it's a special occasion kind of a sweet holiday blend. And if I went through and bought, Golden Days of Yore, and what's the other one? The button nose one. The various other different ones that that come out for Christmas time. The Christmas cookie by Boswell. I'm sure they're all lovely blends, but honestly, they would sit on my shelf for most of the year. And aromatics don't typically age well. To my experience, they lose some of that topping. And some of them, like the Boswell Christmas cookie, if the topping completely goes away, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't be a bad tobacco. because they still use good tobacco ingredients. And I know Cornhill and Deal does well with theirs typically, but for the most part, it's Cavendish, Virginias, or um, things of that nature. So without the topping, the flavor's kind of, you know, not something you would really get into. Um, so some of the exceptions, Cherry Bonbon, which you can't get anymore. I know that one, it's one that Ethan smokes as well. That is some really good tobaccos underneath. But as I said, not a big aromatic guy. So the one sweet aromatic that I did get for the special occasion, I smoked a bit of that. But today I was like, you know what? I want a black coffee and I want to get back to something regular. Regular and obviously moist. I probably should let this dry out. Or I'm just talking too much. Probably the latter. But we have a lot of sweet treats around Christmas as well. That I make the Christmas cake, of course. My wife makes pies, and the girls make tons of cookies, and we have chocolates and things like that. So it was time for a little burly Latakia and black coffee. Probably going to have a piece of cake after this anyway. I will work out tomorrow. That's just not like a New Year's thing. I actually will be working out tomorrow. So tomorrow being Sunday, be back in the church here, the building church. But I don't have to be there till like 9, so I'll probably get up and do a run tomorrow. Maybe burn off some of these extra calories I've been imbibing. Nothing like a good, really heady, strong tobacco after you've had a bunch of sweets. I don't know, just because your taste buds are lit up in different ways, because different parts of your tongue taste different things. And when you kind of overload that sweet section, getting back to something like this it almost opens up a whole different flavor profile. In any case, I did want to share that I got some wonderful presents this year. My family knows me very well. Quite the literary theme. First of all, the non-literary gift, I got some. I need to keep checking this because I haven't been here in like 2 weeks. It would be my luck that the battery would be dead. But it was literary theme basically, but with one non-literary gift I got, practical gift, which I'm just over the moon about. I got some heated motorcycle gloves. Because the weather here in El Paso, sadly around Christmas time, but practically it's good because it's motorcycle weather all year. So my daily driver is my Softail, unless I'm out in the desert. Of course, I'm not taking Harley out in the desert. We use more practical transportation for that. But my daily driver, is my bike. And in the middle of the day, it's fine because even right around now it's 72 degrees outside. But in the mornings, it gets cold. That's kind of how the desert is. So in the mornings, it's still around 35, 40 degrees, and the winds are typically pretty high as well. So even with the regular motorcycle gloves on, by the time I get to work, my hands are just frozen. So they're practical motorcycle gloves. So they have the protective stuff on them as well. But they also have these battery operated heat packs in the back of the hand and on the fingers. And they are tremendous. So, I mean, because everywhere else you can kind of layer up on your body, wear a couple extra shirts and wear a motorcycle jacket, and usually you're okay. Your core is fine, boots and so forth. It's just the hands are always really, really super cold. So I no longer have to worry about that. I mean, I was riding anyway. I ride in cold weather, I ride in the rain. It doesn't really make much difference. But I'm of an age where I like to be comfortable while I'm riding. Nothing wrong with that. Which is also why I ride a Softail, not a hardtail. I would dearly love to have a panhead, you know, an old panhead from the 50s, hardtail. Those are great looking bikes, but the old back is a bit too aged for those kind of bikes anymore. In any case, so that was my non-literary gift. Apart from that, I got some new shirts, which was nice, but I got some tins of tobacco. I got three nuns and the Navy capstan blue. So for those who are aware, of course, that's Tolkien's tobacco and C.S. Lewis's tobacco. So I got enough to, because I had to refill my jars because, oh goodness, because I was out. But then also I got a few that I could stick in the cellar. I can get like 50 tins of each, so I won't have like too much, but like 6 tins. So. And again, for those of you who are aware, have been on the channel for a while, my wife and my daughters hate pipe smoke. My oldest daughter thinks that my smoking lounge is very eclectic and very bookish, and she loves the look of it. But none of them can stand the smell. So anytime they give me a tobacco-related gift, I know it's really from the heart. Kind of a gift of the Magi moment. But then I also got a couple of new books. Very excited about. So first one is The Fellowship. This is a book about the Inklings, which is the group C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were a part of there at Oxford. Now, properly speaking, the Inklings was kind of a fluid group. All told, there was upwards of right around 20 of scholars who were part of this group, 19 or 20, right around there. But the four big ones, I guess you could say, the ones that are covered in this book, are Tolkien, Lewis, Owen Barfield, and Charles Williams. And this is about kind of like their lives and kind of talks about them. It's like a 4-person biography, but told through their relationship with the Inklings. So it has a history of that group as well. I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be a great group. I said there were several other members of the Inklings. There was a Shakespearean scholar, Hugo. Oh goodness, it'll come to me later. But yeah, there were several men that came in and out of that group. But the 4 big ones are there covered in that book, so I'm looking forward to that. And then the other book, again, very, very excited about, The Letters of Tolkien. So these are like all the letters he wrote in and about the books he was writing, of course, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and so forth. Back and forth to his publisher, talking about the writing process and discovery and things of that nature. But it's also got letters in there back and forth to members of the Inklings. Because, of course, they all discussed these groups together. At the end of the day, when they were done with their teaching, they would, sit by the fire, famously, sit by the fire with their pipes in their mouth and their drinks at their elbows, their feet in their slippers, discussing literary actions of the day. And, there was a lot of back and forth, and they were obviously friends and colleagues, but they were also critical of each other, And so the letters back and forth, they discussed that. And I think it was Owen Barfield, one of the members of the group who did not have, did not come from a wealthy family and so forth. And so, there was some tension there between him and some of the other members. Not as Tolkien didn't either. And several of the other members of the group, came from more humble beginnings. But there's a lot of conversations in there when Owen Barfield first came into the group and Charles Williams came in as an older man. So that entire conversation in conjunction with the book on the Inklings, so I can be reading the book on the Inklings and see a letter be referenced in a footnote and actually pull the letter up and read the actual letter. So very stoked about that. I've almost finished with my copy of The Hobbit. I've already read the Silmarillion, of course, reread the Silmarillion, reread The Hobbit, or reread The Hobbit and read the Silmarillion, and then Lord of the Rings is next. But I've got like 3 books now that I'm going to be wanting to read. So happily, I've got the next 2 or 3 days off, apart from Sunday morning, of course. So I'm going to be able to spend some time in the smoking lounge and just sitting here with a coffee and a pipe and just going through a bunch of books. I'm very much looking forward to it. So in any case, this has gone longer than I thought, just for a wee chat and a catch up. But we will get back to the Cosmos Club poetry book in my next video, and with maybe a smattering of stuff from the other books I'm reading as well. So that'll be a fun conversation to have, I hope. In any case, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, great time with your family, and I will see you all in the new year. So have a Happy New Year as well. And as always, happy reading.